Good morning, John. I want to tell you about a weird thing that happened to me this week. I had a hallucination, kind of. It wasn't really, but it kind of was. Maybe I was sleep deprived. Maybe my brain was just in the right place for it. But I was just walking along my neighborhood, past a bunch of houses that I've walked past a billion times. Houses that have electricity and iPhones and water heaters in them. But suddenly, I felt like I was walking through nature. Like I was in a forest where a bunch of animals live. But one of the species just happened to be able to build these extraordinarily useful and exquisitely complex, long-lasting nests. This is a thing people talk about, like that the distinction between humanity and nature is a false distinction, that there are no unnatural things because we are natural. But I've never really felt this to be a particularly compelling perspective. Like, obviously, there is something different about a chemical plant that produces ammonium perchlorate that is then stuffed into two giant metal tubes and then lit on fire so that a third metal tube full of hydrogen and oxygen can also be lit on fire and lift yet more fuel into orbit around the Earth so that 4 people can send back a picture of the whole planet on the way to the moon. If that's natural, then we're gonna need a word for the thing that humans are inside of nature that is nonetheless pretty dang different from what most life on Earth is doing. But I did see it. Like, this perspective flip really happened where suddenly walking through the built environment of my neighborhood, I felt like I was walking through nature. Beavers and birds build their little worlds, and we do too. When Oren was really little, we would talk about the 3 kinds of things. There were things created by the universe, like Mars and stars and mountains. There are things created by life, like birds and pine cones and butterfly eggs. And then there were things created by people, like houses and TV shows and jokes. But of course, those 3 things are not separate piles that do not touch. They are all nested inside of each other. Everything created by life was also created by the universe, and everything created by people was also created by life. Apparently, if you give hydrogen atoms 13.7 billion years, sometimes you get houses and jokes and solid rocket boosters. The universe made every joke. It just took a really long time. Now here's something that is just, I think, part of being a human. I don't find it interesting or pleasant to think of the human-built world as an arrangement of atoms. That's pretty boring. But I do find it interesting and pleasant to think of it as a creation of life. I don't know exactly why that is. Maybe that's because atoms, while they could be very beautiful, I mean, the Grand Canyon is just atoms, like, they're not a very exclusive club. Valles Marineris is also atoms, and I don't think about that very much, and I think about it a lot more than normal people. Ultimately, most things are atoms. You know, not everything, not neutron stars. Life, on the other hand, is a much more interesting and exclusive club. Moves much faster, does more interesting thing, arranges molecules in much more complicated and bizarre ways. And certainly, whatever it is that we are beyond nature, that thing that makes a chemical plant different from a termite mound, is not primarily an effect of physics. It's an effect of biology. I don't feel my physics, but I feel my biology. I feel it all the time. Every decision I have ever made was made by an animal. And sometimes I want to deny my biology. Sometimes I am asked to deny it. But I really can't ultimately. Like, I can get somewhere with that, but not far. And so I can't help but ask, is a solid rocket booster natural? I mean, obviously it is not. But also, obviously it is. Like, we are the way we are because of our evolution, because of our biology. And the traits that got packaged up in us include cooperation and curiosity and competition and stubbornness and the inability to look at the moon without wanting to go to there. We didn't go to the moon because we solved the physics of going to the moon. We went because we couldn't stop wanting to go to the moon. It is both entirely technological and entirely natural. Sometimes, rarely, in the forest of human creations, a bit of nature shoots not just above the clouds, but out beyond the moon. John, I'll see you on Tuesday.